Hey YouTube, so I'm back with another video. This time I'm going to be sharing my HSG story with you guys. I know the test has become very popular now. A lot of women are going into this test either to try to get pregnant, to see why they can't get pregnant, to see the status of their tubes. So I'm just going to share my experience with you. I hope you find it helpful in getting through this test. Alright, so stay tuned. About my Hsg experience. The Hsg test has to be done, or normally with where I live, it has to be done on a certain day of your cycle. I think it's maybe day 5 through 8, something like that. You may have maybe a little bit more room, I'm not for sure. But I done mine on day 5 because I remember having the blood work that had to be done on a day 3, whereas your AMH, your FSH, and a lot of other blood works to complete as like a prerequisite for IVF. So I was so nervous about having this test done because I heard so many horror stories from YouTube, Google, all the blogs about the HSG, how excruciating the pain was from the test. Yeah, and I was scared. So going into the HSG, my doctor prescribed me doxycycline to prevent any infection that may come about with having the HSG test, because the HSG test, it tests your tubes to see if they're blocked or not. And let's say, for instance, there is some debris that is in there, or fluid that's in there that's been in there for a while. Once that dye is shot up your tubes, that debris liquid goes into your uterus, which could potentially give you an infection, you know, because that stuff has maybe been in there for a while. So to prevent any infection, from my understanding, the doxycycline is supposed to go ahead and start the process to help prevent any infection. I saw on one blog or YouTube that one girl said that her doctor did not prescribe her antibiotics before the test, and she wound up in the hospital from some serious infection. So good thing my doctor was on top of it. You know, he prescribed me that. He told me to take it like 2 days before the test, and I think he maybe took it for maybe like 5 days or something like that. I can't be for sure. But yeah, another thing about the doxycycline is it constipates you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so hopefully it doesn't do you like that, but it did for me. So yeah, so I started the doxycycline on a Saturday or a Sunday, because I had the test maybe a Monday or Tuesday, I forgot. So yeah, anyway, I started it 2 days before I had the HSG. My doctor did tell me to go ahead and take a pain medicine before the procedure, and I did. I took a 800 ibuprofen maybe like 2 hours before the procedure, and on the way there, I remember telling my husband, I was like, oh man, what if this is not enough? You know, what if the ibuprofen is not enough? Because I know he told me to take an Advil or a Aleve or something like that for the pain. So I'm already scared. So I'm like, let me double make sure I'm okay. So I did stop at the gas station maybe like 10-15 minutes before we actually got to the building where I was supposed to have the test, and I got an Aleve, and I only took one. It was a pack of 2, and I only took one. So I took that maybe like 10 minutes before the procedure, or before I got there. Of course, you have to sign in and all this stuff, so it could have been 30 minutes before the procedure, who knows. But I did take those 2 things, and I was good. So going into the procedure, going into the procedure, I remember them coming to get me. And of course they wanted me in a gown. I had to get into a gown. And then once I got into a gown, my husband went back there too. He had to put on x-ray vest to prevent him from being, so he had to put on a vest, and he had to stay so many feet far back. They already had a chair back there for, you know, him anyway. And came in and talked to me, told me about the procedure, what they were gonna do, which I had already knew because YouTube is my friend. So I already knew about the procedure, but she kind of gave me a little pep talk, which I was so nervous I didn't think it helped. But the longer she took, I'm like, okay, this is better. This is longer enough time for this medicine to kick in all the way. So I was okay with her talking to me. Then the radiologist, he came in and he talked to me about what he was going to be doing. He said he had been doing it for maybe like 15-20 years, so I definitely felt confident that I was in the right hands at that point. So he told me that with the Hsg, it had a lot of stigma behind as far as pain, and some people were scared, just like me, of getting it done because of that pain. But he said really with an Hsg, you're not supposed to have any pain. So he told me that they were going to, it's just like a normal pelvic exam that they do with the clamps, and then they take a catheter, and it has a balloon on the end. And so once they, you know, by ultrasound guidance and the x-ray technology that they have, they can see how far they are, and he can feel where he is. So anyway, he cleaned the cervix with this solution. It looks like betadine, something like that. And then he inserted the catheter, which I could vaguely tell, but not really. It wasn't uncomfortable. He told me that once he blew the balloon up, he wanted me to tell him if I felt anything different. Not pain, but just something different that I didn't feel before. So when he started to blow the balloon up, I did feel some pressure, and I let him know. He said, that's perfect. That's what we want to know. We just want to know when it gets to a point to where you feel anything different. And once the purpose of the balloon is once it gets in, it creates a tight seal around your cervix, I guess. That way that tells them that no dye, you know, with the tight seal on your cervix, with the balloon blown up and you feel it, that tells them that they have a tight seal. So hopefully no dye runs back out, and they get a full packful force up your tubes, up your fallopian tubes. So that's what happened. Once he got that tight seal, the other technician was on the other side, and she was controlling the machine that shot the dye up through there. So every time they took a picture on the x-ray machine, I could see it, and I'll insert some pictures of the procedure in this video. So he told her shoot. So she pressed the thing, and I felt the dye, but it was not uncomfortable. I just felt something coming through. I didn't feel anything leaking out or anything. And I think they shot the dye maybe on one side of my tube, maybe like 7 times or so, maybe less. And then the other side, they shot the dye, but not as much. Now, I had a little backstory. I had 2 ectopic pregnancies. I had one in June 2013, and then that one I didn't know that I was pregnant. Long story short, I wound up in the hospital, and I had to have emergency surgery to remove that tube. I had another ectopic pregnancy in December 2018, and that fetus was on the outside of my tube. I didn't have to have surgery because we knew we were pregnant, and so we went through the necessary protocols for that. Now, I think that's maybe why he shot the dye a little bit more on the right side, is because maybe, you know, he saw something there. I don't know. But I'm watching the screen, and I see the dye coming out. On one side, my right side, where I had the most recent ectopic, the dye was coming out. It took a while for it to come out, but it started to come out. And so by the end of the test, it was spilling out. It wasn't as fast as the left side, but it was coming out at a rapid pace. So that's the only tube that I thought that I had. So upon doing this test, we found out that I actually had my left tube, which when I had the emergency surgery in 2013, they told me that they removed it. So when I told him, you know, before the exam that I only have one tube, and he's like, okay, I wrote it down on the paper, blah, blah, blah. So during the procedure, I wasn't expecting him to even see if the dye would run out on that side because I knew I didn't have a tube. Well, I'm sorry, on the left side because I knew I didn't have a tube. So after he was finished with the right, he moved over to the left and done that. And what do you know? Dye started to come out on that left side. And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe since there's no tube there, it's just maybe a hole there and it just runs out. But apparently that's not what's supposed to happen. If you didn't have any tube, they told me that nothing will come out. So when I saw that spillage, I was like, what is that? And so the nurse, afterwards, she said, it's coming out on both sides of your tube. And I'm like, I only have one. And she was like, well, somebody needs to explain something to you because you clearly have a tube that's right here. And I saw it. I mean, hey, I don't have a eye for this. So I did not know that that's what I was looking at. So I was like, man, well, this is even better. You know, I have both my tubes. All these years, I'm thinking that I only have one and I have both of them. So yeah, I was like, okay, well maybe I didn't need IVF. So this doctor that I'm going to is very thorough. He does A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to Z, okay? So he does not, he wants to check things off his list. And I like that he's very thorough because I wanted to have the test. I actually scheduled this test back in January. I wanted to have it on my own before I started going to him just to see the status of my tubes. So I did make an appointment to see a IVF doctor somewhere else, but they told me that they didn't recommend that I do this test because sometimes it can make the tube spasm, giving off false results. So I canceled the appointment to have the Hsg done. That was in February. Long story short, we couldn't get on board with the insurance with that company. Well, not with the company, with that doctor. That doctor, he's out of network for every insurance. My husband's like, look, let's just go somewhere that's in network, you know, so we don't have to worry about that. So on to the report that we had. The full report that he had said that yes, both tubes are open. The left tube, which I'm not supposed to have, you know, which they told me that they cut, had more spillage than the right. So once my doctor got the report, he did tell me that I would be okay to try on my own, or I could do an IUI or move on to IVF. Trying on my own definitely sounded good and well, but I was definitely scared in the back of my mind, knowing that I may again have another ectopic. Ectopics are not fun. I'll do another video on that because that experience is something like no other I've heard before. So yeah, I definitely did want to have one. I know I said this in my other video. The statistics say that 1 in 3 women that have an ectopic pregnancy survive. I've had 2 ectopics already. You know, my chances of survival are not my chances of survival, like what I've been through already and I survived, which is awesome. I definitely didn't want to take that chance again to, you know, put shit overboard. I definitely believe in God, and I know that's the only reason why I'm here, because I cannot see why I would still be here after being gone through so much. So yeah, so I didn't want to try on my own because we just, you know, tried on our own in November, got pregnant, found out it was ectopic in December, had the miscarriage the end of December, January, and we had this test done in April. We had this test done in March or April, I can't remember. So yeah, I didn't want to push it. The IUI, it sounded better because yeah, you can go into an IUI that very same cycle. You know, the doctor prescribed me the medication for the IUI because I was a little unsure. I'm like, man, this sounds so good. You know, we could have our baby a lot sooner than, you know, if we have to do IVF, because the doctor told me it would be about 2 months or a month before we could actually go through. Well, he told me that it's like a month of groundwork that he would have to do. And then he told me with my, I think it's my AMH, my egg count, since it was so high that I would have to take birth control. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's a month that he has to go about doing his paperwork, you know, getting all this schedule, stuff like that, because it's my facility doesn't do a total, everything is not done in-house. They, you know, contract other businesses into to help do some parts of the IVF procedure. So everything would be done by them. So it would be they would have to get all their stuff together, and then once they do, I have to go to an IVF class, have to do all of this stuff, order this medication, take birth control for a month. So I knew it was going to be like 3 months before we actually got into it. So I was like, IUI sounds good. You know, I can start this next cycle with my next period to do an IUI. My husband was like, no, that's not why we came here. We're going to stick to IVF and do it that way, make it safe, you know, because with an IUI, you know, the egg and the sperm still have to meet, and it's no telling where it will wind up. So we didn't want to take that chance. So here we are doing IVF. So yeah, that was my Hsg experience. Don't be afraid of it. Take you ibuprofen, take you a pain medicine, a pain pill like Aleve, or so yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask me. Like the video if you like, and subscribe, because I'll definitely continue to make content for you as I go through this journey. All right, thanks for watching. Bye bye.